Hello everybody, my name's Travis and this is the Daily Travesty, and we are about to jump into a premier draft in Midnight Hunt here on Arena. Hope everyone's having a nice day. The season just switched, so we are back into our gold rank, which is totally fine. Could be awesome. Just as a heads up, I did get this mythic qualifier for the Innistrad sealed event, which is happening not this weekend, but the week after this. And my does is to stream that. So if you want to hang out and watch some sealed magic next weekend, I think Saturday the 8th, does that make sense? 9th? Saturday the 9th, I think is the first day of that one. And it's a Phantom sealed event. So we'll be building a deck from 6 packs and hoping to do pretty well and see if we can qualify for day 2 and then maybe qualify for another event after that. So if you're sitting around October 9th, you want to come hang out, watch some sealed, please do. But that is not what we're here to do today. Today we are playing some Premier Draft. Hope everyone's having a nice day. Hope you've been having a chance to draft on your own, and hopefully those have been going well for you. I've been having quite a bit of fun with this format. Blue seems good, black seems good. You can get some crazy black-white decks. Blue-white especially is a lot of fun. But let's go ahead and dive in and see what we got. So Angel Fire Ignition, if you're in red-white or you have an ability to splash this card can do some work. Just a huge life swing. Makes it really hard to block whatever creature you put the counters on. And then once you play this and then flash it back, you just have a massive creature in play. So that's pretty sweet, but we're not going to take it here. I don't think red-white is like a particularly available archetype from what I've seen, and we don't want to start with a 2-color card if we can help it. There are some really good things here. Covetous Castaway has been really good in blue-white especially, but also blue-black. Scab Wrangler is really good. Seize the Storm is nice in the blue-red decks if one of those comes together for you. But I think what I want to start with here is probably just the removal spell. I am still taking early removal spells over really good creatures, although both of these are amazing. I'm just going to start with the removal. Usually goes in any deck. Here we have less exciting options. Revenge of the Drowned is really nice. Plays the best in blue-black because blue-black can make use of the zombie tokens, but you can use this in any deck that's blue. Shadow Beast Sighting is nice in the blue-green flashback decks, if you get into that. Patrician Geist is just a fine creature on its own, 3 mana 2/2 flying. And if you're in blue-white especially, and you have a whole bunch of disturbed creatures that you've brought back, they can get a little bit bigger. Makes your other spells cheaper, so that's kind of nice. Not a high pick, but definitely a creature you would put in those decks. Mysterious Tome can do good in slower decks or more controlling decks. Not going to take it here. I think our picks are between these 3 cards, and blue is quite a bit stronger than green from what I've seen, so I'm going to take the Revenge of the Drowned and see what we can do with that. All right, so we do have a couple nice things here. Nothing really in our 2 colors we've started with, black and blue, but that'll happen. Silver Bolt is always a nice safe pick, goes in any deck, is decent removal in this format. Not sure if we necessarily want it here though. Ardent Elementalist is pretty good. It is expensive. 4 mana seems to be a pretty popular mana cost, so there are better cards at 4 mana. Although this card is good, you kind of don't want to get too many 4-drops early on. I think Dawnheart Mentor is really good, and I think that's probably what I'm going to take here. The fact that this comes with a 1/1 human is great. It gets you 2/3 of the way to Coven. And then the ability on this is great. It just makes it really hard for your opponent to win a board stall because you just attack with a creature and they don't want to block, so then they end up taking damage, and that's really nice. I played a game or a draft where I had this, and I was actually able to activate it twice. I had like 12 lands in play. It was a crazy back and forth game against my opponent. We both had a ton of creatures in play, and I was activating this multiple times a turn. It was crazy. All right, here we have less exciting things. Burn the Accursed is a good red card. Kind of expensive, but totally fine. Kills most things that you want to kill. Immolation is fine as a cheap early play. I think Shipwreck Sifters can be okay, but I don't really want to take it here. Harvest Tide Sentry can be decent, and Dissipate can be decent. I think the best card is probably Burn the Accursed. And we don't really know what colors we're in. If it was a little bit more clear what colors, like if we were definitely going to be in green, I would probably take the 2-drop here, but I'll just keep taking the best card that I see from each pack until we start to settle into a color pair. Hollowed Respite, I don't think is that great. Mostly because it's sorcery speed. If this was an instant, it would be incredible, but I think it's not great as a sorcery. Lunar Frenzy is certainly a way to win games. You just attack with everything, and then whichever creature they don't block, you pump up. You can also use it defensively. Eccentric Farmer is really good in the green decks, and because we have a good green card here in Dawnheart Mentor, I think I'm going to take this. You really want to be in green-blue or green-black with this card, and you're hoping to mill your flashback cards and other things. So I'm going to take the Eccentric Farmer here over the Lunar Frenzy. And now we get a Shadow Beast Sighting, which is a perfect card to go with Eccentric Farmer. This is the exact kind of card that you want to mill. I mean, you're totally fine casting this. 4 mana 4/4, totally fine. But if you do mill this off of like your Eccentric Farmer, you're not unhappy about it. Other cards to look at, Winterhorn Blessing is okay. I think, again, because it has flashback and it's in the blue-green flashback colors, this could be totally fine. I don't want it ahead of Shadow Beast Sighting, but it's not something I'd be unhappy to play if I knew I was in blue-green. Right now, we're just going to take green cards, I think. We have a couple good green cards. We could be green-black. We could be green-blue. We could be something else entirely. Okay, here. Well, this green card isn't super exciting. I don't think it's that awful, especially if you have a bunch of creatures and can get Coven, but we certainly don't want it here. Morning Patrol has actually been really decent. Maybe there's a world where we play green-white humans, so that could be okay. Larder Zombie is totally fine, but our deck is looking to be more creaturey and aggressive with all these good creatures. And Larder Zombie leads you to more defensive controlling decks, so take our first white card here. And now we have a couple different things. I think Rotten Reunion is fine in blue-black, especially if you want the zombie creatures to do other shenanigans with. Tireless Hauler I played once, is totally fine. I mean, it's big and it has vigilance, which can be pretty important. There tends to be a lot of creatures on both sides of the field in this format, so having something with vigilance that can attack and block is really good. I think I might take this Grizzly Ghoul, though. If we do end up in green-black, this card is a 4 mana 4/3 trample at the very least. Could be a 5/4, could be bigger. And again, because each side, you and your opponent tend to have a lot of creatures and small creatures in play, having trample seems really good. So we'll take that here. Nothing exciting here. We'll take the 2-drop, just in case we end up in a green-white deck. And maybe because we're like mostly green and hoping to play green, that might have been a reason to take the Werewolf Hauler last time, but we're not too worried about it. And here we'll take the Diagraph Rebirth. If we do end up in black-green, this card's going to be great. And I don't really care about Bounding Wolf. Geist Wave is totally fine in blue, but we don't really seem that blue. And Crossroads Candle Guide has good stats, 3/4, but not super excited about that card. And here we'll just take the black card. I don't care too much about missing a Ritual Guardian if we do end up in white. And this card is actually pretty decent in these grindy games. 2 for 1 and you get a zombie out of it is kind of nice. Here we'll take the 2-drop, which came around. That's awesome. I had almost considered taking this last time, so I'm glad that came back. And nothing here. Flare of Faith has been good in the aggressive creature decks. Giving something indestructible can also be kind of nice. But we're not going to worry too much about these. Okay, let's see what we got here. Well, I played this Lord of the Forsaken in a black-white deck, and it was sweet. especially in black-white, where you can play this on turn 6 and, you know, attack with it. But if your opponent has done any kind of self-milling, it's actually a threat. I won 2 games using this and milling my opponent out, which is pretty sweet. It's really expensive, but this card is good. Other things I'm looking at here, Nibbleghast Intruder is great. If we were playing in blue, I would take that. I like Ecstatic Awakener. Maybe that's a good card in our potential black-green deck. And Death Bonnet Sprout, also really good in a green deck. It's kind of a toss-up, actually, between Death Bonnet Sprout and Lord of the Forsaken. I think this card is powerful enough, though I'm not really sure. Maybe one of the 1-drops there would actually have been a better pick for us. Okay, well, this is insane. I don't know what our opponent, or what our the player passing to us took, but Morbid Opportunist is awesome. You just draw so many cards off of this. But he has a Forgotten Archangel is also awesome. And we are kind of... we did have a couple white cards. I don't think white was super open. Wow, this is really tough. Normally I would just slam this Angel. But Morbid Opportunist is kind of lining up with our deck right now. And if we don't have to splash, that would be nice. Unless we're green-white and we splash Liesa. Man, maybe we're just supposed to take this white card. This card's just so good. Especially having lifelink on it. That was a really tough pick. I'm not sure what it is. There is a world where we're green-white and we can splash black for this Archangel. That's probably better than splashing for Morbid Opportunist, but I don't really know what to do there. Well, Dennick is really good, but we didn't see a ton of blue in pack 1, so I'm not going to take it here. Maybe we're just going to be green-white. I'm happy to take Lunarch Veteran or Gavany Trapper here. I mean, Dennick is the best card, but again, we're not really white and we're not really blue. So I'll just take something for our potential white deck now, and I'll take this Trapper. I think Lunarch Veteran is really good in blue-white, but I think the Trapper is going to be a little bit better if we end up black-white or black-green splash, or sorry, white-green splash black. All right, what do we have here? Probably just take a 2-drop, green 2-drop, or a white 2-drop. I mean, now that we have Liesa Forgotten Archangel, we might be leaning more towards white than anything else. I'll take these other cards out that we're not going to use. Not really sure what flavor of black, green, and white we're going to be. Maybe we're just going to be white-green. I don't really see a huge difference between these 2-drops, and I do want to play heavier white if I'm going to have this double white Angel in my deck, so... There's also a world where we play black-white. I mean, we might just dump the green cards and play black-white. So that's something to consider, and that would be a reason to also take this 2-drop over the green 2-drop. And now we'll take Morning Patrol. Happy to see a decent creature to fit in our deck. All right, and here... Well, the white is flowing a little bit. Sungold Barrage is fine, and white-green will have more issues getting removal than what would have been our green-black deck. And I don't really think I need another one of these Grizzly Ghouls, even if we are black-green. So I'm going to take the white card. I think I'm going to try and be more white than anything else, so that we can get the best value out of this Forgotten Archangel. And here we get a Flesh Taker. Okay, well, it looks like we might be going into black-white then. I'm glad we stayed a little bit open. This card is crazy good. It's just so hard for your opponent to block, and sometimes if you run out of things to do, you just start sacrificing creatures, scrying, gaining a little bit of life. This card's great. Search Party Captain's also fine, so it's nice to see a couple cards that could go in our deck there, but I think we are definitely moving off of green and going into white here. So let's move the green cards away for now. And here we're going to take probably just the Trapper. Just another good creature to have. Probably want more creatures here than either of these removal spells. I'd be happy to take Silverbolt here, but if we're going to take white cards and try and cut off white a little bit, I'd rather take the white card out of the pack. Here, there isn't really anything for us. Seize the Storm is the best card in the pack. I think, again, just to try and cut white as much as possible, I'll just take this white card here. Because we do want to be white-black and pretty heavy white-black. And we don't even have that many black cards, but our like Defenestrate, Liaisa, and Lord of the Forsaken are all good. No Way Out is just kind of okay, but I certainly don't want to play two of these if I don't have to. I haven't thought of a home for Celestis Sanctifier. I don't know if this fits in any deck really well, but we'll take it. Again, just to signal that white is getting cut. Here's a colorless card that we could play. It's not embarrassing to play this Candle Guide, although we'd probably rather not. And here we are. We've got a decent black-white deck on the way. We definitely want more removal spells and more sacrifice-themed things. So for that reason, we're going to take Ecstatic Awakener here. Black-white is the sacrifice, self-sacrifice deck. So we're going to take the Awakener and look for some ways to make zombies. That does actually make these No Way Outs better. You can sacrifice the zombies you make off of these to Flesh Taker or to Ecstatic Awakener. I think this Augur of Autumn is a nice card, good green card, but because of the bomb rare we took last pack, we're not going to be in green. We're going to try very, very hard to be black-white here. Baneblade Scoundrel, totally fine 4-drop. Happy to play it, but I'm going to take the more synergistic cards first and the cheaper cards first. Wow, this pack is stacked for blue. Organ Hoarder, Scab Wrangler, Baithook Angler, Devoted Graphkeeper. I think for us, we'll probably just take Silverbolt. We do want removal, and we already have a couple 2-drops, including 2 of these Cathar Commandos. So I'll take the Silverbolt here. Okay. Spicy picks. Well, sweepers are good. I think this Vengeful Strangler is pretty good in black-white. You can sacrifice it and get it onto one of your opponent's creatures. It's kind of like removal. Soul Guide Griff is totally fine, but it's not even close to these other cards. This is kind of a close pick because this card would go really well in our deck, especially if we're more aggressive. You smash in with it and then you sacrifice it to Flesh Taker, Ecstatic Awakener, and use it as removal. But sweepers are good. I'm not actually sure which of these I'd rather have. Maybe just the creature, actually. Based on what our deck has already, we already have a couple low drops, and you don't really want to play a bunch of creatures and then have to not use your sweeper. So again, another close pick. This has been kind of a tough draft to navigate for me, and I'd love to hear what other people think about the picks we're making here. Yeah, some good green cards here, but we're just going to take one of the white cards. We have Defenestrate, 1 Barrage, a Silverbolt. I probably don't want another Barrage, so I'll take this Blessed Defiance. This card can sometimes be good, especially gaining a ton of life off of, like, I don't know, Lord of the Forsaken, or even gaining 4 life, using it on Morning Patrol, and then having access to the Disturb effect. It's pretty good. Again, nice blue cards here. I think we'll just take the decent 5-drop. This card's been good, and you can snipe cards from the opponent's graveyard. Ooh, nice. Gavany Silversmith, definitely something we'd be happy to see here, especially if our deck is trying to be more aggressive. You know, play a 2-drop, play a 3-drop, slam this on 4, and your creatures can get in for a bit more damage. That sounds good to me. I'm also not opposed to playing Flare of Faith if we have to, so I'll just move it over here. I don't really want to play any of these other cards. Here, there's nothing for us, so I'll just take the rare. It's worth gems later on. Ooh, oh, wow. Beautiful. Tons of white stuff here. I'm definitely taking Ambitious Farmhand here. This card is great. It always guarantees you your 3rd land. And then later on, it's a 3/3 lifelink. It's awesome. Audric's Outrider has also been very good when people play it against me. I haven't had this in my own deck yet, but this card has been super annoying to play against. I would happily take it here, but I'm definitely going to take the premium 2-drop. The Ambitious Farmhand there. Not much going on here. We do have quite a lot of humans in this deck, and if we want to be more aggressive, I think being able to give our creatures indestructible is better than the lifelinking one. I'm not sure how many of these cards we're going to play, but I'll just take the one I think is better, and then we can figure out what we're going to do during deck building. I don't know if Unruly Mob is going to fit into this deck particularly well. There probably is black-white decks that can use it really well, but we don't have a ton of self-sacrifice. It's really just the Flesh Taker and the Ecstatic Awakener. And I think the Unruly Mob can be much better if you have control over what you're sacrificing. Like if we had a second Flesh Taker or something, then I might consider this. But okay, anyway, that was a kind of a wild draft. Thanks for hanging on with me. We thought we were in green and then kind of went into green-black and then saw some crazy cards pass to us. Pick 2, Pack 2, this Lieza Forgotten Archangel, and the Morbid Opportunist, the 3-mana 1/3 that draws you a card once a turn if something has died. Those cards are both insane. I think it was the correct decision to go into white and pick up this Angel. Black was certainly not that open, but between the Flesh Taker, the Lieza, this Lord of the Forsaken, Defenestrate, like I think black-white was where we were supposed to be. So let's go ahead and take a look at the deck. And like normal, I'm going to take out anything that seems subpar right at the beginning. We can always add stuff back in later, but I'm going to take out the cards that I'm not as excited to play in this deck. And then fill up my curve after that. Silverbolt here. Okay, so that's the skeleton for the deck. We have a whole bunch of quality creatures that we're very happy to play. And we have one really good removal spell, one okay removal spell. So now what we want to do is we want to fill out our creature curve a little bit more. I guess the Gavany Trappers also kind of count as removal because they can tap things down. But we want to fill out our creature curve a little bit more. Anywhere that we can get incidental zombies, that's good for us because we do have the Flesh Taker and the Ecstatic Awakener that we want to use to sacrifice creatures. We hopefully don't want to sacrifice any of our good creatures. So we want some expendable creatures and we want some nice spells. So let's take a look at what we have here. I'm happy to play more 2-drops for sure. Candle Grove Witch can be good in aggressive decks, especially if you can get Coven. We've got some 0s, some 2s, some 1s, a lot of 2s. Gavany Silversmith helps us turn on Coven as well. So I think this Candle Grove Witch is definitely going to be good enough. And I do want lots of low drops. I think these Cathar Commandos are totally fine, so we can play those. Because we're short on removal, we've got the Silverbolt and the Defenestrate. I am interested in playing Sun Gold Barrage. Kind of interesting to me that Vengeful Strangler pick, this versus the White Sweeper. Our deck doesn't put a ton of creatures into play. I don't know if that means that the Sweeper would have been worse or would have been better. It's kind of hard to say. But here we are anyway. I do think playing the No Way Outs is going to be worthwhile just to get the zombie tokens to sacrifice or just to attack with as well. It's felt really, really crushing when I have a quick start and my opponent plays this against me, and I think you can get some people pretty good with this. I don't want to play 2, but I think one of those is fine. It would be nice to also have a little bit more top end, so I'm going to put one of these Soul Guide Gryphs in for sure. And now we're at 36. We have to put 4 more cards into our deck. We're currently at 15 creatures, which is a good amount. We can always add more. So let's just take a quick look at our mana curve again. Creatures look good. We could use a couple more 3 or 4 drop creatures. And then, of course, any powerful spells. So let's see if we can add some more creatures to this deck. I don't really want to add Celestis Sanctifier. Again, I'm not really sure if this card does anything in our deck, and we don't have any day or night stuff we want to trigger. No Olivia's Midnight Ambushes or anything like that. Ritual Guardian has been fine. Sometimes it's good with lifelink if you can get the Coven effect. We also want to get Coven for Candlegrove Witch, so maybe that's a card we would consider. Also, combining Ritual Guardian with Flare of Faith can be good. You end up hitting for 6 and maybe gaining some life off of that. Is that better than just playing Blessed Defiance and then you definitely gain life off of it? Hard to say. We're probably going to play some number of combat tricks here because we do have a lot of 2-drops and we want to be aggressive, and having combat tricks lets us attack better. I don't think we're going to have Coven like that much. So I'm not sure if Ritual of Hope is a card we would want to play. I think we would rather stick with these sort of combat tricks. And because most of our creatures are humans, 13 of the 16, I think adding Flare of Faith is a good idea. I also don't mind Blessed Defiance. We're on 16 creatures. And we have 2 more cards that we want to add. I don't know how many top-end cards we would want. Like, do we want another one of these Soul Guide Gryphs just for something to do? Do we want... We're probably playing one more combat trick. And because we do have so many humans, I think Flare of Faith is probably a little bit better, even though it costs 1 more to cast. We can try it out and see if we would rather have the 1 mana trick. All right, how many low drop creatures do we have? I probably want to add 1 more creature to this deck. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. So we could probably use a little bit more top end. For that reason, I'll add the other Gryph. Just having a couple more threats in the air that can close out the game is nice. And there is a decent amount of flyers, especially in the blue-white deck. So we do want to be able to block flyers. And I think based on that, that's what I'm going to run with. 17 and 7, so 9, 8 on lands. And yeah, that's going to be the deck. Pretty decent curve of creatures. We do want to be more of an aggressive black-white deck and see if we can run over our opponents and then use our life-linking Angel and our Demon with Trample to close out the games. Here we go. All right, this looks great. 3 lands, both our colors, our Baham Angel. Looks good to me. And we'll get the Trapper out. I don't know if it's actually worth playing this on turn 1 because we don't have a 2-drop, but we might have drawn one or something. Angler. Might as well use the ability. Okay, and then no play. So would have been really nice to have our discard 2 this turn. But all right, let's tap their attacker down. Save ourselves some life. Okay, well, we can hold up the Cathar and the Sun Gold Barrage, or play Cathar and tap something. That's kind of nice. And if our opponent's stuck on mana, that's kind of nice for us. So I definitely think we slam the Angel this turn. Try and capitalize while our opponent is stuck on mana. They could bounce this card, but that's okay. They can't counter it this turn. Hopefully they don't go land or removal spell, but if they do, I mean, they would have done that anyway, so. Okay, they decide to just concede. I mean, that's kind of rough for the opponent. They got mana screwed, and we played a pretty nice creature there, so. Kind of unfortunate for them, but we will happily take the win and move on to the next round here. All right, here we go. Double Trapper's a bit unfortunate. These cards aren't that great in multiples because you need a ton of mana to use them, but we're definitely going to keep this. We're on the draw. We have a 1-drop, we have a 3-drop, and we have our Angel again. Ooh, nice, 2-drop. Okay, well, going to be pretty happy with this start. Assuming we draw a 3rd land, and if we don't, there might be a world where we sacrifice 1 Trapper to try and scry and find a land. Beloved Beggar. Okay. Nice. Well, we're just playing 1-drop, 2-drop, 3-drop, and then eventually we might get a little bit funky here. I can see a world where Gavany Trapper is just tapping this 0-4 and doing this stuff there. Is there a reason to attack this turn? Probably not. I mean, usually they would just block. And I don't want to get blown out by any kinds of tricks. The Nebelgast Intruder is the one I'm thinking about. Giving this -2, -0, and then blocking would just be bad for us. So I'll happily play a little bit more patiently here. At some point, we are going to attack. Like, next turn, we'll definitely attack. And, okay. That's interesting. Okay, that makes sense. They wanted to play the search party captain to try and find a 4th land. Makes sense to me. Let's go ahead. Should we just tap search party captain and attack for 4? Or do we leave this to tap Beloved Beggar next turn? Because if they block Flesh Taker here, we have to sacrifice Gavany Trapper just to get through. Otherwise, what are we doing? Yeah. Let's just tap this for now. We don't need to start throwing our creatures away yet. I don't really want to sacrifice Gavany Trapper to kill Search Party Captain, so... here, I'll play Trapper. And now we can actually tap both things down next turn if they do nothing else. Okay, Graphkeeper's good. Okay, Witch. Well, maybe we just attack with Morning Patrol. I kind of want to save the sacrifice thing until we have the Liesa in play, because then we just get our creatures back. So I might just attack with the Morning Patrol here. And they can block with the 0-4, I guess, but my plan is to play multiple creatures this turn. Definitely the flyer, even though we only have 0, 2s, and 2s. If we draw a land next turn, this will give this flying. And then we'll hold up this. If we need to tap something, we can. If not, we can play Cathar Commando. See what the opponent wants to do here, if they want to play a 2-1 flyer or something else from their hand. Gale Drifter. Okay. Well, our hope is to draw a land and attack with everything and have those creatures come back to our hand. So I'm just going to play the Commando here rather than tapping something down. Here comes the land. And now anything that trades off is going to come back to our hand. Any of their creatures that die don't go to the graveyard. They get exiled. So if they block with like their disturbed creatures, that's good for us. Now they have the problem of having to deal with the angel and also dealing with us having extra creatures available. This card is really good. I'm glad we took this over the Morbid Opportunist. I love Morbid Opportunist, but this card is just insane. Especially if it gets to hit. I mean, 8-point life swing is awesome. Okay, Organ Hoarder. That's totally fine for us. Again, we're just going to hit with everything, because any of their creatures that die is good for us, and we would just redraw our cards. So. All right, well, it might be a good time to actually get rid of Beloved Beggar. Or do we just tap down multiple things and hit with everything? Save our things. That's probably better. Let's do this. Let's do this. And then let's go to combat. We'll attack with everything. Again, if they want to block with Graphkeeper, that's totally fine. And I'm going to play the Flyer, just in case we want to get in for extra damage next turn, if they don't play their flying creatures. Maybe it would have been better to play Flesh Taker there, because at this point, Flesh Taker is a must block, but... Oops. Yeah, I probably should have played the Flesh Taker there instead of the Witch. Okay, well, Locked in the Cemetery does help them a little bit. It doesn't get rid of the ability, though, so we are just going to be able to keep attacking with our creatures and redrawing them every turn. So I'm going to play Flesh Taker before combat, just in case there's something I want to sacrifice. And then we'll do the same thing. We'll tap down the 0-4. And this way their creatures have to trade with ours. And then I'll probably just pass a turn and leave up Defenestrate and Cathar Commando. And play whichever one makes sense. And if I don't want to play either of them, I can use Gavany Trapper to tap the Beloved Beggar or something at the end of their turn. They have to block Flesh Taker, and then this is 4 damage. So if we tap, that should be enough. Yeah, we'll just use this to tap the Beloved Beggar here. We do want to be careful if they leave mana up, because what they could do is they could declare blocks and then bounce Liaisa so we don't get our creatures back. If they do try and do that, we might just sacrifice it. I guess that doesn't really do anything. We'll have to see what happens here. All right, we could tap and then attack with everything and still have tricks up. That's probably the best use of our time. It forces them to have to make a play. Okay, here comes the intruder. I don't think there's anything I want to do about that. Okay. They have to block Flesh Taker. Unless they have a bounce spell. I'm fine playing Commando this turn instead of Ritual Guardian. So what we would have to do is we would have to sacrifice something. And then if they want to bounce Flesh Taker, they can't bounce Lieza. Yeah, that seems fine to me. I'll bounce one of these trappers. Don't need the swamp. Okay, so they didn't have anything there. Maybe they forgot about Flesh Taker. I'm not sure, but yeah, happy to get a win there. Again, I think that opponent was slightly mana screwed. So these games have been going well for us. We've been drawing a nice mix of lands and spells. Always good to remember that we are getting lucky and our opponents are getting unlucky. Even if we're playing well and making good decisions, we are still getting lucky compared to them. So luck has a lot to do with success in Magic as well as skill. All right, 3 lands and spells to play. This is great. Again, we got lucky with our hand, and we'll happily take the luck that's given to us. Nice. Which of these 2 drops do we want to play? There is some thought to holding Cathar Commando back, so our opponent plays slightly differently. Now, because they've already played a 1/3 to block with, it probably doesn't matter all that much. We'll probably just play... Well, Cathar Commando can attack into this. Candlegrove Witch doesn't really attack into that, so I'll just pass the turn here. Because I don't mind attacking into this Triskaideka file. And who knows, maybe they'll attack and not play a creature. Jack-o'-lantern, okay. And now maybe we get to hit them for 3 damage. What does this do? They draw a card, they exile a card from our graveyard, so we'll want to be careful about like Morning Patrol or something like that. I assume you only play this card if you're splashing for something. So kind of an interesting point here. Are we supposed to play No Way Out right now? Or are we supposed to hold it till next turn? I assume we're just supposed to play more creatures. They do have other ways to draw cards, and eventually this is going to draw cards, so I would rather pressure their life total first and then pressure their hand, but... Gale Drifter? Okay. Well, now they don't get the extra value from discarding Gale Drifter. That's kind of nice. I do want to be careful about attacking here. We could attack and then use Flare of Faith on whatever they block, and then play Candlegrove Witch and keep up the pressure. I kind of like that again better than playing No Way Out here. So we'll just attack. And if they want to block something, that's fine. If they want to take this damage, that's totally fine with me as well. Okay, yeah, so we'll use the Flare of Faith. We'll keep the Morning Patrol alive. That way they can't use the Jack-o'-lantern to exile this. And then we'll play the Witch. And next turn, we're likely to deal 5 damage to them if they don't play something else. We're likely just playing No Way Out on our turn. Get rid of some of their resources in hand. Hopefully they've used their flashback disturb cards. Oh, they're using the Faithful Mending. That's pretty good, because then they didn't get to discard that card to our No Way Out. I haven't played with this card. I wonder how good it is. I guess if you discard a couple lands, that's pretty good, like our opponent just did. But now they only have 1 card in hand. So this No Way Out is worse, but we assume their last card is a good card. So totally fine playing that here. We could attack with Patrol. I don't know if I want to trade Cathar Commando for this. Could also attack with Candlegrove Witch, but again, I don't want to really trade off for that. So let's just get the last card out of their hand and probably pass the turn without doing anything else. Our opponent, oh, another land. Wow. Okay. Well, our opponents had a ton of land, so our No Way Out wouldn't have been good anyway. And now they can't really flash this back yet, so do we attack with anything? Are we okay if Commando trades for Angler? Not really. Witch for Angler? Not really. Morning Patrol for Angler? Not really, especially because they have the Jack-o'-lantern, so we're just not going to attack this turn. Can be a little bit patient. I assume our opponent is going to play, like, Whale Drifter. Yeah, that's totally fine. And now this adds mana of any color. Okay. All right. Well, they were able to discard a land and a flashback spell. That's pretty good. And this card lets them exile one of their creatures, and then it comes back with a 1/1 counter. Again, not too worried about that. Ooh, Lord of the Forsaken's kind of nice. Especially because our opponent might have a couple flyers kicking around in a little bit here. Again, I don't think we're really attacking, so I'll just play Ritual Guardian and pass. It would be nice if we had Coven here so the Witch could get in, but we obviously don't. So not too worried about it right now. Opponent with kind of an interesting blue-white deck. I definitely haven't seen some of these cards played before. Ooh, Ominous Roost actually looks pretty good in their deck. I should probably kill that with the Cathar Commando. I probably should have killed it in response to the trigger there, but... so that they don't get a second thing here. Yeah, I should have sacrificed the Commando while the first trigger was on the stack. And that way they wouldn't get the second bird, but hopefully their birds don't matter that much if we play Lord of the Forsaken. This being a 2/4 is going to be kind of annoying for us. Okay, awesome. We will play our 6/6, which they are going to have to draw cards to try and find an answer to. Oh, and I guess Sungold Barrage can actually take this out the turn after, so that's kind of nice. And now our Candle Grove Witch actually gets flying, but I don't really want to run it into these 1/1s. So I'll just pass the turn here as well. This is the turn you want the Flare of Faith, because Ritual Guardian could have 6 power and lifelink and indestructible. But our plan right now is just going to be to attack with Lord of the Forsaken. Opponent keeping something on top, so they like what they found. Oh, Memory Deluge. That makes sense. They get to see a bunch more cards this way. And hopefully for them, they find something to deal with this 6/6 Flying Trample. If not, that's good for us. So they look at 4 cards, they get to keep 2. And then if they end up drawing a land, they could actually look at 7 cards and keep 2, which is pretty good. Pretty good odds that this Lord of the Forsaken is going to get dealt with. Even a Locked in the Cemetery here would be bad for us. Okay, that's not bad. Let's go ahead and attack. Well, I'm going to play my land first. The only thought I have is if for some reason we try to use Sun Gold Barrage and they have Flip the Switch, we want 4 extra mana in play so they can't counter this. So let's go ahead and attack. They're not quite in mill range, although we could technically sacrifice 5 creatures and put them down to 3 cards. So that's something we want to keep in mind for another turn. I wonder if I'm supposed to kill this Triskaidekaphile. I mean, if our opponent is spending 4 mana to draw cards, that's kind of okay for us, right? Secrets of the Key. So second Secrets of the Key. Draw a clue. So our opponent is going to be able to draw quite a few cards. I don't have anything else I'm going to do before killing this, and I do think I want to kill this next turn. So do I do it now, or do I wait and see? Like, if I wait, they might draw a counter spell for this. And if I kill this, our other creatures can also attack, which is kind of nice. Well, the Ritual Guardian attacks into this. That's not that great. Maybe I'll just save it. Maybe they'll end up playing a massive creature that's better than this one. If you have exactly 13 cards in your hand, you win the game. That's pretty far away. They're actually gonna get milled before that happens. If they had kept that card on top, I might have considered milling them with Lord of the Forsaken, which is also a nice little interaction. Sacrifice the zombie and then mill whatever card they decide to keep on top. Birds coming in. So I assume they're attacking us because they want to play the Search Party Captain, which draws them a card. And we don't have anything to block with, so this is fine. If they had attacked with other creatures, maybe we would have blocked there because they're just chump attacking. Scab Wrangler, okay. That is interesting. I'm going to use the Sun Gold Barrage now, because they're going to play Scab Wrangler and they're going to tap Lord of the Forsaken, and I want them to have to tap all their other creatures, and then my creatures can still get into attack. Here comes the Whale Drifter. I still want to have good attacks with my creatures next turn. At this point, we could sacrifice 4 creatures and put them down to 3 cards again, but I don't really want to do that yet. Okay, let's go to attacks. They'll tap. Oh, they didn't tap anything. Oh, now they're going to tap it. Yeah. And this is totally fine. I'm still going to attack with everything because any of their creatures that die is one less creature that can tap Lord of the Forsaken. And if they're doing this, they're not surveilling, which gives us better odds of getting through. I think after attacks, I'm going to mill them for 3. There's no reason to attack with Ritual Guardian into Bait Hook Angler. So let's do this. Notice that you do have to put full control on if you want to sack your zombies after they deal damage. Okay, and that's fine. I'd rather kill the Bait Hook Angler than mill them. Okay. Well, our opponent has found a line to beat us. They're going to try and race us by dealing 4 in the air every turn, tapping down our Lord of the Forsaken, and then hoping to kill us before we can kill them with the crackbacks. That is a decent strategy. They might also have a search party captain here as well, but again, we can't block flyers, so we're not going to worry about that. Ominous Roost. Okay, another flyer. Okay, well, our opponent does have a lot of flying power now. One, two, three, four, five, six, 7 power in the air. So that's a 2-turn win for them. We can mill them for 3, 6, 9. Plus 1 off of this is 12, down to 2 cards. I don't think that's something I really want to do yet. We'll probably have to attack with the Ritual Guardian this turn. Just to gain a bit of life. We definitely don't want them to untap and play some kind of mass pump spell, which would kill us outright. They are going to be able to play a whole bunch of extra 1/1 flyers. So maybe we are just on the mill plan. I mean, this is 12. If they draw any extra cards. Kind of tough to say. If we attack with Ritual Guardian, they get Covetous Castaway. We probably don't want this creature to die because then they get extra cards back into their library and we can't mill them. So it might be best for us to just attack with the Candlegrove Witch. We can also attack with Morning Patrol here. Although they'll probably just take it off of one of these cards. I don't think I want to trade Ritual Guardian for Larder Zombie. I'd rather save it for the mill effect. One, two, three, four, five, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11. So they are very close to killing us here. I have to be a little bit careful. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11. Oh, they can't attack with Larder Zombie. Yeah, I don't know if we were supposed to attack with Ritual Guardian there and gain a bit of life. They're going to deal 10 to us and then 10 again. We can take them down to 2 cards. So we kind of have to draw some creatures here. I guess this counts for 2. 3, 6, 9, 12. That's probably enough, right? All right, well, they can't use the Memory Deluge. Our plan is to untap, sack, 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 sack. Yeah, so I'm going to sacrifice the Morning Patrol here. And I might as well use my mana this turn if this is my plan. Because this is going to cost 4 as well. So this Lord of the Forsaken is really good. Like I was talking about during the draft. Like, if your opponent draws too many cards in a game, and particularly in black-white, if you have a lot of creatures, you can just mill them out at the end of the game. It's just really nice. Sweet. Well, 3 wins, and we'll keep running it back. This deck's been pretty fun. It's probably missing some more key pieces, like another Flesh Taker, which isn't uncommon. I mean, you're not always going to get multiples of those, but another Flesh Taker would be nice. Maybe some other ways to generate a couple of creatures. More removal would be nice, but so far it's seemed pretty good. I'd rather have more removal spells than I think these combat tricks, but here we are. And our Cavity Trapper is going to get 1 turn of blocking against the Stinger. We definitely do want to block here. I mean, it's possible that they play a Neonate's Rush here, but I don't really want to. Well, is there any reason not to take 1 damage here? Is there something they can play? I know there's a 3-drop and a 4-drop. Yeah, we'll just take it. Interloper, yeah, that's fine. And we'll just pass a turn. And now we'll definitely block, and if they want to use their mana to try and kill Trapper, we'll use Flare of Faith. This is a 2-1. This can be a whatever, yeah. I'm not worried about it. If they want to waste their turn doing this, it's kind of fine with me. And if they don't want to and they want to use Neonate's Rush, that's also fine, because we'll still use Flare of Faith. Okay, we do need to draw something here. Liaise is nice. I wonder if we're supposed to use Defenestrate or just block and keep this up again. I think my plan is going to be to block the Stinger, see what they do with their mana, and then either play Flare of Faith or Defenestrate on the Arrogant Outlaw. So I waited till after first strike damage so they can't pump this. They might have another card that kills Trapper, but at least this way we don't take the 3 off of their 3-2. It'll be bad if they play a much better creature now, but I do want to preserve my life total until I can get the Angel down. Especially if they're going to play something like Siege Zombie. And these multiple flyers, so Okay, well, we're just going to play the cards that we can play. Not a lot of interesting decision making this game. We're just on the back foot. At least the Gavany Trapper can... Well, I guess it can't really block the Stinger this turn. It can prevent Siege Zombie from getting in. And then next turn we play Liaisa and hope they don't have removal. Silversmith can block Stinger this turn. They might have deal 3 damage and then this kills this. Is that a reason not to block? Maybe that's a reason to block Siege Zombie. What if it's +3/+1 and trample? For that reason, we'll block like this. Just trying to play around the combat tricks. I know there's a +3/+1. There's a, okay, -2/-2. I mean, that's going to happen. So this card is very good, by the way. So I don't think we are winning anyway. But now we'll play Liaisa. They don't have a removal spell. And we will hope for the best. We have a life-linking flyer. And any of our creatures die, we get them back to our hand. So that incentivizes them not to attack us. Okay. Well, I guess they could double pump this into a 5 something or other. And I don't really want to take 5 damage, so we're kind of forced to block here. We're definitely not blocking with our flyer. All right, first things first, we're going to attack. Get in for 4, gain 4 life. We're not just going to sit here and do nothing. Even if they attack us back for 4 damage in the air, we still deal 4 to them and we're neutral. We have 6 mana, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. We can play everything, but we can't leave Flare of Faith up. So I think what I'll do is I'll play Trapper. And do I want to play the second Trapper or do I want to play Candle Grove Witch? I guess if I play Candle Grove Witch, it can attack next turn as well. Now we can put pressure on them. Liaisa is basically the only way we're winning the game. And maybe I need to give it +2/+2 to save it from a removal spell. So rather than playing this other Trapper that's not really doing anything, I will hold Flare of Faith up. There is some damage-based removal in red. There's more -2/-2 effects in black that something funky might happen. So I'm going to hold up the combat trick instead of playing the other Trapper, which isn't really doing anything anyway. I mean, we can block this to Siege Zombie and block here. Okay. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 damage to us. And we have to block Stinger. So what I'm going to do is block Stinger with Gavany Trapper and then use Flare of Faith to kill the Stinger and save the Trapper. And again, any of our creatures that do die, we get back to our hand. And this way we kill 2 of their creatures. We get our creatures back. And now we are attacking in the air. We can also tap down one of their 2/1s, so they only deal 2 damage to us a turn. And we'll just play out the hand here. And we'll keep the planes in hand. Black does have some discard, and I would rather discard this than a card I draw later. Might as well attack. These creatures don't block. go ahead and attack for 6. End the turn. And we'll tap both interlopers down this turn. Haste. Okay. Well, a haste creature could deal a lot of damage to us, so I'm glad we have the trappers back to tap it. And we have the Sun Gold Barrage for when the Village Watch flips, which is kind of nice. I'm just going to tap this Village Reavers rather than using my removal spell. They might play something better. And the 2/1s aren't really that big of a deal. Awesome. Well, that's a 4th win for us. And we're going to keep running it back here. And see what we can do here. Currently 4-0, which is awesome for us. The black-red decks have felt a little bit underpowered to me. I think mostly just because there isn't a ton of good quality cards in red. So if you and someone else are trying to take red cards at your draft pod, there is only so many, you know, Moonrager Slashes and other good uncommons to go around. And the red commons just don't seem that exciting to me. Well, we are getting extremely lucky. That's something I always like to mention because we haven't been mana screwed yet. We've drawn this angel pretty much every game. We've always had a nice curve of creatures. So although we're like currently 4-0 and it looks like we're just crushing everyone, we've gotten extremely lucky with our lands. And some of our opponents have been mana screwed. So I mean, any game that we play enough lands and spells and our opponent's mana screwed is going to be tough for them. So always keep that in mind. Always keep that in mind when you lose as well, that sometimes you get unlucky and that's just how it works. But I mean, as long as the luck holds out, we will continue to take it and be happy about it. Playing against a blue-black deck here, which could get pretty interesting. These decks tend to do very well. I'm not going to attack here. There's no reason to. I'll just play this Morning Patrol and pass. I don't think we can really get got by any kind of tricks. Maybe a Blade Brand, the 2-mana black card that gives something Death Touch and draws a card. So there's no point attacking here. It's just completely useless. And if we don't have anything to play... Okay, we do have a Morning Patrol to play. So now I'll attack. And again, we have an opponent that's mana screwed, which is, again, unfortunate for them. Good for us. They might have a Startle here. They might have a Blade Brand. But, I mean, we're going to start attacking and see what happens. What I was going to say is if I didn't draw a card to play, I would probably just tap the Larder Zombie to play around Blade Brand. And then attack for 4. Given this situation, I'm just going to attack. If they want to kill one of these, that's fine. We'll still play Morning Patrol. Opponent deciding what to do. Okay, Olivia's Midnight Ambush. Oh, so they weren't sure if they wanted to kill Morning Patrol or Candlegrove Witch. That's fine. Okay, good. Our opponent got 3 mana. We do want to have fun games as well, and opponent might be able to recover now that they have 3 mana, especially if they tap all their creatures and start surveilling with Larder Zombie. So, as usual, we're just going to keep up the pressure. And because we have nothing else to do, I feel like we probably tap the Larder Zombie here. And then our opponent is likely going to tap everything they have, and we'll deal 4 to them. Because they're not going to chump block here, so... That protects our Morning Patrol from being double blocked. And then we'll play Flesh Taker. And the opponent can't repeat that next turn because if they don't block Flesh Taker, we could deal up to 8 damage to them off 1 creature. Well, I mean, we don't want to do that. We don't want to sack everything, but this card is now a big threat for them. Ooh, Morbid Opportunist. Okay, yeah, so the opponent definitely trying to set themselves up to be able to come back here. And now they're probably fine, you know, double blocking and killing one of the patrols. And if we sacrifice something to Flesh Taker, they're going to get to draw a card. So, oh, okay. Oh, very nice. Very nice exchange or combo from the opponent there. They're going to draw a card, exile our best creature. And now we have 2 1/3s that we're facing down. It'd be really nice to play our Angel this turn. Awesome. Good for us. Again, we're getting very lucky with the lands. If we attack with our Morning Patrols, they just block, or they double block or triple block and kill something. So I think what I'm going to do is just play this. Unless you think they have a removal spell. Do they have a removal spell or do they have a discard spell? If it's a discard spell, I want to play the Angel. If they have a removal spell in hand, I'd rather play the Griff. Either way, I'm just going to run out our best card. They might have neither of those, and then we want our best card in play. We attack with both Morning Patrols. They just block, and nothing happens. So there's no real reason there's no reason to attack, but there's also no reason not to attack. I don't care if they double block and kill this because we get to kill something and we get our Morning Patrol back. That's also totally fine by me. I guess they get to draw an extra card off of Morbid Opportunist, but again, the more creatures we kill, the less time they're surveilling. So yeah, that's probably the best blocks. Although they could technically trade the Falcon Abomination for a card off of Morbid Opportunist. I think the opponent's making the right decision there, trying to keep more creatures in play so that they have 3 creatures to surveil with. And this match is really showing the power of Larder Zombie. It's basically brick-walled our attacks as a 1-mana 1/3, and now it's surveilling to help draw them to their good cards faster. Rotten Reunion? Sure. This is an instant? Yeah. And here I think we just attack with Angel. Well, yeah. I mean, if they have nothing, this hits for 4 and we gain 4 life. If they have something where they double block, they get to draw a card. Well, maybe we do just keep attacking. Maybe this is the turn they block and then they'll use this as an instant to get rid of our Morning Patrol counter. Although it doesn't go to the graveyard, it gets exiled, so we're kind of safe there. I don't think it's worth playing around a sweeper here. Although, I mean, if the opponent has a sweeper, that would be really awful for us. But okay. That's okay. We definitely want to put this on top. It's our best card. And now they don't have mana to use Rotten Reunion, so Soul Guide Griff is going to get us a little bit of extra value here. Well, we were ahead. Now it's pretty even. We don't have great attacks, and our opponent has more cards than us and a way to surveil. And Morbid Opportunist, so we might actually be on the back foot here. Do you think they have a counterspell? I mean, if they have a counterspell, they have a counterspell, right? There's nothing else we can really do about this. They might have a counterspell and then they kill this. Yeah, I mean, that's going to happen sometimes. It's not like we really have any other options for how to play around it, and we do want to attack with this Griff, so we're going to just, you know, bite the bullet here, lose our Angel, and hopefully this Griff can get there, although the opponent is... Oh, they're surveilling. Okay. Opponent with a lot of creatures here, too, so this could very quickly turn against us. Opponent digging deep for an answer to the flyer. And I assume they have it. I assume they have more bounce spells, or Revenge of the Drowned, or more removal. And they've decided that they aren't going to be blocking with the Falcon Abomination. Even though they could technically chump block and then draw a card off the Opportunist. If they really needed resources. Behemoth. Okay, so now they get to draw a card. And they get a 7/6 Menace. That's pretty good. Gavany Trapper is going to be nice here to tap that down. And the Morning Patrols are going to be nice to keep the Horde of Zombies at bay. Ambitious Farmhand, not awful here. It also flips into a lifelinking card. So because of that, I'm going to use this right now. Before they untap. I'll just make a 3/3 lifelink right now. And we do want to play it, and we might as well do this while we have Coven. And we still have 2 mana to tap the Behemoth. And we're going to hope that this flyer can get there. I think the opponent's planning to be more aggressive because they did attack with the Abomination, but now the Trapper can keep the 7/6 tap down, and having a 3/3 lifelink here is going to be really good for us. Opponent having to dig for an answer to probably still Griff. I assume this is still the card that's causing them the most problems. Although we do have some very high quality creatures here. Opponent's still trying to take the aggressive line with the Abomination. I mean, if you're not going to block with this, you might as well attack with it, right? We are definitely attacking with everything this turn. There is a world where we get caught by a Nebelgast Intruder, a Startle, Olivia's Midnight Ambush. We're just going to attack with everything here. I mean, the opponent obviously has resources in hand and is maybe trying to cobble together a solution using multiple cards. But I think we want to try and be as aggressive as we can here. Okay, 6 to them. We gain 3 and pass a turn. Again, I still think Soul Guide Griff is the biggest problem that they're facing, so they probably want an answer to that. It is possible they find a removal spell for Gavany Trapper, and then we have to be more defensive. Okay, and they didn't get rid of what was there, so they like the card they have. Scab Wrangler is very good for this reason. I probably should have used the Gavany Trapper before this came into play, because this is going to give them 1 extra creature to tap our creatures with. Oh, they decided not to use it. Okay. I mean, now they can keep the Soul Guide Griff tapped down indefinitely, but we still have 3 other creatures we're attacking with, which is pretty nice. So let's see if they tap down the flyer here. Depending on how much stuff they tap, we might still have pretty good blocks. Okay, let's just attack with everything. We do give them an extra card to draw. Let's get our attacks declared and then use Gavany Trapper to tap down the Larder Zombie. Larder Zombie? I don't want them to double block the Season Cathar. Let's use this to tap down the 2/2. And then that way they can't kill our Cathar. Instead of tapping down Larder Zombie, like, I'm actually fine if they chump block with either of these cards because both of them are helping them draw cards. And this way they can't kill the 3/3 lifelink, which is going to be hard for them to race, even if they do have all these. They're going to get to hit us for a bunch of damage this turn, but they're at 1 life and facing down many, many creatures. So we might even just block the Behemoth with a 2/3 this turn, depending on what happens. See what we can do. All right, passing to attacks. We have 4 lethal creatures. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 blockers. 5 lethal creatures. And if they want to tap the flyer, they have to tap multiple things. Although I guess that's not that bad. Okay, flip the switch. So we got a little bit burned there for not playing our other land. Here we can go to combat. Yeah, I should have played this other land. It's silly kind of to hold it, especially with cards like Flip the Switch in the format. It's nice that we drew the removal spell for the Behemoth, because now we can use Gavany Trapper offensively. Makes sense. If they just pass here, we're going to attack with 3 things. We're going to kill the Behemoth. And we'll tap down one of their cards as well. Now if they want to kill the Cathar, they have to block with Scab Wrangler, which is the thing that's preventing us from attacking with Soul Guide Griff. Oh, sorry. I guess they have to block 1 to each of these. They could have a startle here. so that their Scab Wrangler doesn't die. Okay, I mean, we do have to be worried about how many zombies they have. They're going to be tapping so many cards, but we are gaining life off of the Cathar, which is nice. Now I'll play the land I should have played before. If we had had the 3-1 Cathar that they countered in play, that would have been game. So it was definitely a game-altering mistake to not play our last land there. Extra Scab Wrangler doesn't matter. It's still the same ability, but it is one more creature, so they... I mean, they can still only tap 2 things down, which is a lot. Like, don't get me wrong. 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Yeah. They can tap 2 things down. But they still have 4 blockers for 4 creatures, so... hopefully we will eventually break through here. If they... I wonder if we're even supposed to attack. I guess we can attack with Seasoned Cathar. We might as well attack with everything. They're still having to try and find ways to block our creatures. So we'll use the Gavany Trapper again to tap the Abomination. And then attack with everything. And they'll have to make decisions about what to block with. Okay. Two attackers, 1 blocker, and lethal damage. Awesome for us. And we got into Platinum. Awesome. Good for us. And we are currently 5-0 with this white and black deck, which is great. And that's actually where I'm going to stop the stream today. I think the most interesting part of the stream is the drafting part. This is great. I'm definitely going to play these games later. Hope to go 7-0 or some combination of 7 wins, but happy to see at least 5 wins here. I have another thing I have to get to, but I appreciate everyone that came out to watch the stream, and I appreciate everyone that came to watch the video that gets posted to YouTube as well. This is the deck we ended up with. Definitely some subpar cards. Ritual Guardian's not great. No Way Out is fine, but not great in this deck. Flare of Faiths are okay, but in general, we're quite happy with how lucky we got. We were never mana screwed. We drew this Angel pretty much every game. A couple of our opponents got mana screwed, so we have to realize how lucky we got, but had a really good time playing, and hope you guys enjoyed the draft. This has been the Daily Travesty, and I'll catch you all later.